Apparently, you die in a bouncy castle by breaking your neck and instantly dying. Like, what? Like, just so absurd. Hi, welcome to the podcast. I'm Joycelyn, your player one, and today in the house we've got Everlast by nadyalev, I think. I'm not sure how you pronounce the name of the creator of the game, but that's the closest I'm gonna get, I think. This game is an FMV, which is a full motion video game, and I guess the genre is technically horror, or I guess maybe like a thriller, something like that. Short premise of the game is thank you for choosing Everlast, where death is just the beginning. Trademark. Get ready to enter a playground full of infinite options for your digitized mind. We're honored that you've chosen to store your consciousness with us, because you deserve an afterlife full of possibility. Your account activation will begin shortly. Restriction may apply. Afterlife membership to your eligibility is contingent on past behavior in digital spaces. Welcome! Everlast is an FMV game in which you play as a recently deceased person being onboarded to a new virtual existence. All the characters in the game were generated using artificial intelligence, and there are no content warnings for the game, but I do want to mention that it does mention death, because, I mean, you die, and, well, you die before the game, but, like, this is the afterlife. The game is free, and it is available on itch.io for Mac and Windows. It took me about 12 minutes to play. It's very short game. And it's also very easy, because it's just reading and clicking the answers that you want. There's not really any other gameplay stuff. It's just reading and clicking. Very simple. You read and click responses to both the greeter and the second character that comes after you. The visuals are actually very impressive. The lady, which I believe she's in the thumbnail of this episode, is fully AI. She's not a real person. And then there is another character, a man, who is also not a real person. Both of them are completely AI. It's actually very creepy because she swallows, and like it's slightly off. It's very off-putting. She also blinks, which I noticed is also kind of creepy. Like, you wouldn't think that would be creepy, but like since it's AI, she's like not real, so she's slightly off when she does real human things. The computer lab and the lobby, it looks really cool. Actually, there's a big computer. It's like purple and blue and stuff, but like other than that, the space that you're in is very plain and white. And I think it works for this game that the visuals are so focused on the AI, because like that's the main focus of the game, is you talking to the greeter. But also at the same time, it kind of represents the afterlife in a way, because like everything is plain. The sound is good. I mean, there's not really music in the game, but there's technically voice acting, which is not actually voice acting because none of the characters are real. So it's just a computer. It sounds kind of like Surrey, uh, or yeah. So it's very strange, but it sounds like very close to being real, if that makes any sense. Just like they look close to being real, but you can tell they're not actually real. Like it's not. Well, I don't know if I could tell. Maybe it's just because I already knew that they weren't real before I played the game. But it's very creepy, actually. The story is probably one of my favorite parts of this game. It's actually a very funny story. So you've died, right? But you can ask how you died, and it's very funny. There's a lot of little funny things that are in the game, just like little details. Um, like you die in a bouncy castle. Like how on earth do you die in a bouncy castle? Apparently, you die in a bouncy castle by breaking your neck and instantly dying. Like what? Like just so absurd. You also can't love everyone that you loved before in your real life, and you end up having to love brands because that's a part of Everlast's like afterlife, and you can't get the best plan for the afterlife. You end up with the worst one because why wouldn't you? Like it makes sense. And so you basically become a brand, and you have to like promote this brand. The ending is kind of creepy, which makes sense. This entire game is pretty creepy, actually. Like if you think about it, this could be the afterlife if a brand got a hold of it. It's like false positivity or something. It's like very creepy. I don't know. You meet a guy at the end of the game, and you basically have to tell him everything you just learned about the afterlife and how bad it is. Like you're gonna be stuck in the worst tier of the afterlife for a long time, like almost 100 years. My favorite parts of the game are that, I mean, it's not all creepy. There's some funny parts. Obviously, the entire game is pretty off-putting. Just the general like way that the game is with the AI characters and things like that. So it's generally very off-putting and kind of creepy. But there's also really funny parts, like in the dialogue. The writing is probably my favorite part. My least favorite part is probably that it just ends abruptly. Like you meet the last guy, but then it just ends. And I mean, I kind of wish that you get to see his reactions to everything too, or something. Like that would have been cool. But I mean, it's all right. It feels like it could have gone on a little longer because the game is very short anyway. I also feel like I would have gotten the basic plan no matter what. Like I feel like there should have been a way that I could have gotten a better plan and not had to experience that. Maybe there could have been something else in the afterlife that was bad, or like all of the plans had a bad part to them or something, and the basic one wasn't the only one that was bad and the only one I could get. But it's all right. Like I like the game, but I kind of wish there was other options. Like it feels like everyone would have the same experience playing this game. That's why I don't want to say too much and give it away. But it's also a very short game, so there's like not really much to talk about. Like I feel like there's not really replayability of this game because I feel like the same thing is just gonna happen over and over again if I replay it. It's basically what I'm saying. But I do recommend this game. I think it's a very cool game, super creepy if you're into creepy games, and also pretty funny if you're into funny games. I think the AI is just really, really impressive. The AI voice acting and the AI graphics. The AI characters in general is just a really good like thing to have in this game. Like it makes a lot of sense in this context. Like other games, it might not make as much sense, but this game it makes a lot of sense to have AI characters. In general, I do recommend this game. I think it's a pretty good game for the spooky month that is October. You know, I think it's a very good game. And so my final rating of Everlast by nadyalev is an 8 out of 10 tokens. Great job! Thank you guys for joining me on this episode of Indie House. Be sure to rate the episode and let me know your thoughts. I've got a Discord server called Indie House Official, which would be a great place to give your feedback and talk to me my collaborators, or other listeners of the show. If you have any indie game suggestions, feel free to comment below or hit me up at indiehouse_pod on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag IndieHouseGaming. And if you would like to support the podcast and get some cool extra content, you can find the Patreon in the card, with level 1 being 3 days early access to the podcast episodes and Patreon rank in the official Discord server, level 2 Patreon rank and 1 week early access and additional gameplay content, and level 3 guaranteed game recommendations, Patreon rank, 1 week early access, and additional gameplay content. So those are some really good benefits that you can get if you support the podcast and the Patreon, and the link is in the card, like I said before. Catch us next week on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. See y'all on the next level. Bye!